On this video today because you want to know how to make $10,000 a month at a young age. And I don't blame you. Making a lot of money creates a lot of freedom for your life, and it creates a lot of happiness because through the skills and the methods that I'm going to teach you today, you are going to have a spiritual, personal, emotional awakening and development through this journey, right? So I want to start off with saying that becoming somebody that makes $10,000 a month, you got to think about it, right? If you're making that kind of money, you have skills that create that kind of income, right? So once you have that, you start to realize that you are becoming a different person, right? The version of you that's making $10,000 a month is not the version of you that's making $3,000 a month. And the version of you that's making $10,000 a month is not the version of you that's making $30,000 or $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month. So, the good news is once you learn how to make 10K, you start to understand the skills and the journey and the process of being able to make more per month. But let's start with an easy number, something that seems relatively achievable and, looks sexy on paper, right? $10,000 a month, making that kind of money would change a lot of people's lives. And it's a journey. It's not easy, but it is 100% attainable. And I want to talk to you about how to do that today, especially at a young age, but at any age. So, like I said, when you're making more money, you need to become more of a person, right? So the first thing I want you to do is to step back and look at your habits. What are you doing today? What are you doing with your time? And seriously, take a piece of paper and audit. What are you doing with your time? And you're going to see that a lot of the things that you're doing, if you're making a ton of money a month, which you're probably not watching this video if you are, but if you're not, then even if you are, actually, I love you and thank you for watching. But either way, if you're not if you're not making this kind of money currently and you're trying to make this kind of money, if you audit your time, you're going to realize that you're wasting a lot of your time. You're not using it productively. And one thing that you need to start learning if you want to make $10,000 a month is that your time is your greatest asset, right? What you do with the time at hand is essentially what is going to build your business, build your skills, build yourself as a person, and build your income as a result, right? So look at what you're doing with your time, right? Look at what you're doing with your regular days and write that down on a piece of paper and audit your time and see how much time you're wasting, see what you're doing that's productive and see what you're doing that's not. The next thing that I want to say when you're doing this, and I probably should have said this to start, but when you set a goal to make any amount of money on a monthly basis, you're not necessarily breaking it down by looking at the income, right? You need to be breaking it down by what kind of person do you need to become, right? So once you learn how to become the person that makes $30,000 a month, as a result, you will make $30,000 a month. Or if you, $10,000 or plug in the number that you want. Essentially, once you learn how to become that person, the money will come as a result, right? You're not going and pushing to make that money. You're going and pushing to become the kind of person that creates that kind of revenue, right? So think about that. But with that being said, audit your time, right? Write down on a piece of paper what you're doing. See how much time you're wasting. Time is your most valuable asset when you're trying to make more money, do more things. The more positive return on investment that you could have with your time, right? The more positive ROI that you could have with your time, the more money that you can make, the more of a person that you could be, the more tasks that you can complete, the more productive that you can be, right? So auditing your time is super important. The next thing that I want to say is learn a high income skill. If you can learn sales, marketing, IT, coding, those are just some of them, but you can learn any high income skill. And the other thing that's cool is that a lot of skills that people don't think are high income skills can be high income skills. What I want you to think is, can I sell this skill as a product or a service, right? So if you know how to weave, are you weaving little, fun creatures and are you selling them, right? That's a product. Or when you clean windows, that's a service, right? So learn a skill that you could sell as a product or a service. And once you do that, you will understand the idea of, building a skill, getting better at things, being consistent at something, learning how to build a business, learning how to scale, learning how to create a product, and all these things, right? It really comes down to business, entrepreneurship, and having the actual want to build something and going through the entrepreneurial journey, that is spiritual and personal development, all these things, because going through this journey of being an entrepreneur and learning that skill or that product that you can provide as a service or a product, you essentially at that point are being an entrepreneur, being a business owner. And I've said in my previous videos, being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is a spiritual journey, right? That is a journey of personal development, because you are building something just like you're building your income, your skills and your person to make this kind of money. You are building something from zero. So building something from zero is so important, because you learn the value of, having essentially material in your hand and how to turn that material into something. There's nothing cooler in this world than having, just the ability as a human being to be able to build something and turning that into a vision, and turning that vision into something that's legitimate, that's tangible, right? A real business, real income, a real life, So the main point that I really want you to get from this video is stop looking at it in the sense of money. Start looking at it in the sense of, what kind of person do I need to become? What kind of skills and services do I need to sell? What kind of products do I need to sell? What kind of skills do I need to learn? What kind of life do I need to live? What do I need to do with my time to make $10,000 a month? Not how do I make 10K a month quick? I'm just going to go DoorDash and do the math. And if I DoorDash 24/7, I'll make 10K a month because I'll make, X amount a day. Like, no. You need to figure out how to become the person who generates that kind of income. So the last thing that I'll say is, if you need an example, find somebody, like somebody in your local market, somebody online, go find people who are already doing what you want to do, whether that's the market you want to do it in or just at scale that you want to do it. If somebody's making $1 million a month and it's not in the business that you want to be in, but you want to make $1 million a month, go shadow that person, right? And once you shadow that person, you start to learn, like I'm doing this wrong or I'm doing that wrong, And the more friends that you make that are making more money, that are, doing the business that you want to be in, that are building something for themselves, that are being entrepreneurs themselves, that are going through that personal, emotional, spiritual journey to build themselves as a human that's going to create that kind of income, right? That's when you start to realize that, there's people out there who are doing what you're doing and you can learn from them. And once you could learn from these people, you could grow 10 times quicker. There's a ton of Mr. Beast videos out there where Mr. Beast talks about how he was in a YouTube group with a whole bunch of people. And every time one of them failed, they would say in the group, like, hey, I failed doing this, or hey, I failed doing that. And he talks about it. He's like, if it was just me failing, I wouldn't have grown as quickly, because you have 10 people who are failing at an extreme rate. Everybody's learning from each other. So if your friend screwed this up last week, they're going to tell you, hey, don't screw that up, and you don't screw that up, right? And you're just going to keep moving forward. But you will have that group of people around you who are surrounding you with the knowledge and the skills and the abilities to be able to grow yourself as the person that creates that income, So it's really hot in my car today. I'm sweating. But if you want to make $10,000 a month, don't worry about the money. Worry about who you need to become to do that, right? If you want to make $1 million a year, don't worry about the money. Worry about who you need to become to make $1 million a year. What actions do you need to take? What do you need to do with your time? Who do you need to surround yourself with? What kind of skills do you need to build? What kind of products or services do you need to sell? Where do you need to live? How do you need to sleep? How do you need to breathe? How do you need to, eat? All of these things all come into what your income will be, right? So unfortunately, if you want to make a ton of money, you have to really let it indulge you, and you have to really let it impact everything in your life positively, not negatively, but positively. You need to have that positive, continue forward of everything moving upwards. I guess that's the best way to put it. So with nothing else being said, hopefully this video helped you today. I know it was a little unstructured. It's hot in my car. I wanted to make my YouTube video for you. And I was just thinking about this. I thought it was cool because, it's not about the money. It's who you become to make that money. And that's really what it is, because even if you lose all the money in the world, once you gained the skills and the abilities to be that person, you'll never go broke again. Because even if you do go broke, you keep all that brain power, right? You keep all the assets and everything. And you know, if you were to take one of the best business owners in the whole entire world and take everything away from them, they'd build it right back up. You know, if you were to take all the money in the world and put it evenly in everyone's pockets, it would all end up back up in the same pockets in a couple years, right? Because the people who learn how to make that kind of income will continue to generate that kind of income because they are the income generating people. They're the income generating type. They learn the skills, they learn the processes, they learn how to become that kind of person. So you do that too. I'm going to stop blabbing. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching me in my YouTube videos. Until the end, especially if you made it. If you made it to the end, please leave a comment down below and let me know. If you like my content, please leave a comment down below and let me know. If you want to support me, leave a thumbs up. If you want to see new videos like this every single day, I make new motivational, inspirational business content every single day through the eyes of a young entrepreneur who's built a multiple six-figure sales business at 23 years old. I'm not perfect, but I definitely want to help you build, and I've learned a lot through this journey. And if I could help you with just some of the things that I learned, and that helps you grow, helps you be inspired, helps you be motivated, that's all that I really want from this channel. You know what I mean? I'm not looking to make money. I'm not looking to do anything crazy. I'm just looking to help people out. I really think that the world deserves a little bit more than what it's getting right now. And hopefully by giving this to you, you can have that. So thank you so much for making it to the end. Leave a comment down below if you have questions, thoughts, concerns, if you want to talk to me about anything, if you have, you know, any kind of anything. I answer all my comments. I'm super, super grateful for everybody who watches my content on a regular basis, who subscribes and likes my videos and leaves comments down below. You guys are the lifeblood of this, and you are the reason why I continue to do this, because it shows me that I'm helping people. People actually are engaging with my content. They actually enjoy. So thank you so much again. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon.